And we are streaming. I'm going to go on to Facebook, see who's popping in, see what's happening,
Yeah,
do an
the phone
introduction as soon as
lines
there's
the phone
people.
lines are active. We are
This is
taking your
Yakov
calls.
here, hanging out with Jeremy, and I have
Hey, hey,
named this
hey.
program Sorcerers Cinema, if I can fucking get it out. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm great. I like that name. That's You didn't tell me that until just now.
I,
I'm
I
I'm
thought
I'm
about it
digging
five
on that.
minutes ago and just fucking typed it up. But yeah, that's what we're
Yeah.
doing. We're gonna do a fucking something of a film review. The Law Enforcement Guide to Satanic Cults.
Man, I'm already thinking
So,
of the next several movies that we should do for this. This is awesome.
dude, I found a million things. There's so much ammo. It's just appalling.
Simon
Uh,
King of the Witches, the whole movie's on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that's a 1971 gem of occult cinema.
I see. That sounds intriguing.
Yeah,
I'm up
yeah.
for it. I'm up for whatever.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
This film is a gem from the '80s Satanic Panic. Lots of heavy metal, lots of comic books. I'm assuming maybe some
Yeah.
jazz music. We got Holton Wayne Tucker in chat already. He seems
Oh,
hyped. So it
let's
looks
see.
like we're
We got
going. People are
in the
here.
Facebook chat. Let's see. Let me get this pulled up here. Okay, I've got.
One day I'll figure this out and I'll be able to show you what I'm looking at. Cause I got the chats from all the streams going at once. So this will be good. Here we go. Law Enforcement Guide to Satanic Cults. Feel free, Jeremy, to stop the stream anytime and give some banter anytime.
Okay, okay.
Where are we
Gun
at here? Where's
video
this based out of?
catalog.
The gun
San
video
Diego.
catalog for Murphy Canyon Road, San Diego, California.
San Diego, a
I'm not sure what the
Whale's night.
demographics look like in that area. There's probably lots of Satanists, lots of Satan activity.
Well, there were back in the 80s for sure, if they had to make this video, right?
They had to. If I find
I
any
don't know about you, but I'm
defect,
gonna I'm gonna check out that address. 4585 Murphy Canyon Road. I'm gonna
yeah,
look it up
screw the
right now
optics. We're going there right now.
let's see.
You're gonna dox them?
Yeah.
Federal law provides severe civil and criminal penalties for doxing the police involved in the making of this film.
How did they know that word 30 years ago?
I wonder how much money this
Due
music
to the
costs.
graphic nature of this program,
Oh,
viewer
dude, you should look at
discretion
the
is
place at
advised.
this address. Like, look it up on Google Earth.
Is
Uh,
it Pizzagate?
it's it's weird. Like, I don't know if I put a link up if it'll work, but I'm
Send me
gonna
the
put a
link.
link in the Facebook chat. Or
Give it a shot,
here,
because I don't know what
I'll
I'm doing.
I'll send it to you just in Messenger since I don't know if it's gonna
Yeah, yeah.
people's computer explode or anything.
It's
But it's like an innocuous gray overgrown building
huh.
with like a weird part of it that's all shiny and glass, but then the rest of it's all like rundown cement gray, and there's nothing in the parking lot. And
Maybe
it's
some
labeled as
abandoned shithole.
it's HCI Systems Incorporated now, a fire protection system supplier. So it is no longer whoever the hell made this video, unfortunately.
Spurgs, do some research.
All right. Oh, look at those graphics.
Oh my god, it's like the Jerry Springer show.
I was about to say the same guy that did Jerry Springer must have done these. I was literally about to say that.
Fantastic.
I'm Gordon Coulter. For many years I served as a law enforcement officer. Today it's my privilege to host this program on a little-known area in law enforcement.
Cop pastor. I would like to note that. That's a good combination.
Cop slash pastor slash proud uncle.
It's like Dog the Bounty Hunter. How every time you gotta give yourself to Jesus, bruh.
You
Is
want to
that
smoke, bruh? Sure, Pat. Yeah, let's do it. So Pastor Gordon here
But important to every small community and every large city across
is
our
riddled with
vast country.
Satanists.
It's the area of satanic cults and how they impact our families, our children, and our
How to
communities.
find them and join them.
Dude, I'm impacted by
In
satanic cults at least
satanic
10 times every day.
occultism, that which is good is bad, and that which is bad is good.
As
What?
above, so
And as
below.
you view this
Yeah.
learning and educational tape,
What kind of cult
Pay
is he the
attention
pastor
and
of?
notice the reverse of everything that is
The Ned
normal
Flanders cult.
becoming abnormal.
Mm-hmm.
There are many crimes that are unsolved in our cities, and many of those crimes have
Some might
ritualistic
say all of them.
overtones.
Do you think maybe it's black magic, if you get my drift? Maybe that's
Well,
that's
I mean, yeah, it's. I'm sure at the end of the day, they're just trying to get rid of all the crack-infested neighborhoods, and we all know what that means.
basketball magic.
Yeah, all
But
these
they're hard
basketball
to find.
Americans and their
It's
voodoo
difficult
sorcery.
to find the depth of where these things go and who may have done them. And so today we hope to be able to shed some
But we're sure going to speculate about who may have done them.
light on a dark, dark area, an area that has been taboo for so many years, that is also protected by the United States Constitution and the freedom of religion. That's why it's very difficult for us as law enforcement officers to really investigate. But the question really is, where do the freedoms end and our responsibilities begin?
Okay.
No, I think it was so difficult to investigate because none of it was really happening.
So this all just has to be an excuse to fucking take away our freedoms. Like, it's that simple. We've cracked the
Right.
code already.
So this is going to be a hour-plus video about why we need to amend the Constitution and
I'll tell you,
make it a little more Christian.
Muslims are a much better reason.
Well, you got to wait till 9/11, 2001 for that
We're
to
getting
start.
there. That's episode 2 of Sorcerer's Cinema. We watched fucking 9/11 tapes.
We can watch what's that flight 90 something.
Yeah, let's roll.
Communities.
Satanic cults and their various offshoots exist
I don't want
throughout
that
the world.
wallpaper.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I couldn't quite tell what it was. But it's clearly the zodiac, and it's the
Oh.
sign's relation to parts of the body. So once again, we're
Oh.
back to the as above, so below.
I just went way too far back.
It's
I was
fine.
I was trying to look at it.
No. It's spoilers. That's fine.
Whatever. I'm not gonna try.
People
anymore.
believe. We
No,
know what their
but I got some banter for that too. Now I like that because they're talking here about fucking Satanist bullshit. I guess what they show is fucking a cave drawing from like France that some Neanderthal did. Now what the fuck relation does
Yeah.
that have?
This is just poorly researched, I think.
But what's more interesting, do you know what the name of that cave painting is?
No.
The Sorcerer.
Oh,
Beautiful.
I dig it. Oh,
potential
sorry.
for violence might be if they choose to be true to their belief. We even have evidence, here and there, that leads us to believe that some sort of rituals are taking place. However, unless we catch them actually breaking the law, or find evidence that leads directly
There's
to
Crowley.
participants in some illegal activity, we
Bohemian
have
Grove?
no
Is
case.
that what I'm looking at there? Oh my
No,
god.
The problem involved
I think that
with
was a
the cult
Bohemian Grove
explosion
ritual.
is becoming
I know,
a
it's-
many-faceted
That's
puzzle.
what I'm saying. As we're going through this guy's like, he's like implying that these images are evidence of satanic activity when he's showing like Bill Clinton fucking pissing on a tree. Like,
Well, he showed Crowley first, so it was Crowley and a bunch of Golden Dawn dudes.
Yeah.
And then he showed, I think it would look like Bohemian Grove, but who knows? And
Yeah,
then now
yeah.
this is a mummy.
well,
Like,
one thing you'll also exactly.
where
This is
the
fucking
Satanists?
archaeology. But
Well, you
like,
got to think this was researched before the internet, so they probably just went to the library and just grabbed
Christ.
whatever random pictures that look spooky.
yeah, another thing you'll notice is images that are straight out of the Bible. So like, what the fuck are you trying to prove, bro? Is this just? Are you just
Well-
trying to Jew pill me here? I don't understand.
I mean, that's where Satan comes from too. So
Foreskin demon.
Puzzle confronting law enforcement today. Not only is it difficult for us to understand the secret practices of satanic worship, but there are deeper reasons that go beyond mere lust for power
Okay,
and
that's
the
just a
unlimited
mask.
drugs and deviant sexual behavior that go with it. Unfortunately, the police investigator
What?
attempts to analyze these types of crimes
What the hell
with
was
his
that?
routine of criminal
menorah.
investigation. In the cases of satanic practices involving deviant sexual behavior, the investigator forgets the offense was committed by an abnormal person.
That image that just passed was a vision from Ezekiel. Something like That's what I'm seeing here.
Influenced
While
by
talking
many
about the
strange
sex
and
magic.
complex motivations. And therefore, law enforcement's analysis of the crime and the criminal must be guided by the principles of abnormal sexology.
Is that what they're
Okay.
teaching in college now? Abnormal sexology? Is that a college course?
I mean, I don't think I took that in college.
That's brilliant wording. I love
But
it.
hey, like he says, they have to learn it.
It's part of the rituals.
If you're gonna catch Satanists, you
It
have to
is
learn all this stuff.
imperative that these cases be solved. They are vicious, revolting, and
That's
create
sleep
fear in
paralysis.
any community. Men are apprehensive for the safety of their wives, mothers, and daughters, women for their children and themselves. It is only through proper training that the police officer can hope to gain the ability to understand and recognize which are regular offenses and those that belong to cult behaviors.
Okay. I've got a print of that last one.
This is a law enforcement problem. Therefore,
This-
all law enforcement officers should be
pretty
familiar
cool
with the
artwork,
different
you know, I
types of
guess.
degeneracy, so they'll be able to associate the type of criminal with the offense committed, and to properly charge and prosecute the criminal in an intelligent manner.
I just like to think the director or whoever came up with this has like a room in his house where all these pictures are pinned up and there's like strings connecting them all. And
I know, I'm sure it's that
he's-
pastor, and he just spends all his
Right.
time just hunting the Illuminati and their sex
Right.
magic.
Like still to this day, I'm sure he's probably got a podcast. We're gonna have to find it.
Dude, I bet he's like the head of Wizard Court.
The what do they call them in Harry Potter? The R's. Yeah, he's the head R of the whatever.
You got purple fringe on the flag in Wizard Court. That's how you know it's Wizard Court.
There are three general areas and levels of involvement in satanic occult worship. The first
Occult?
would be dabblers.
Dabblers.
They're people who just use it
The
for fun and
grabblers.
games, may be involved in some video games and that kind of level, possibly a little graffiti.
Oh,
Reasonably
possibly
innocent.
graffiti.
What the fuck?
The second level would be
Who the
So
fuck is
literally
he
everyone
talking
is a
about?
dabbler. Everyone's a dabbler.
Well,
If you read your horoscope in the newspaper, you're a dabbler.
The kids playing the video games and doing the graffiti. That's so fucking good, man.
When was this made? Do we know for sure when this is from? Like, I wonder what video games he's like. Is this the Doom era?
We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out
Yeah,
in time.
be those that are involved for spiritual reasons, and they recognize that there's power in the worship of Satan. These
Duh.
people generally worship together and try to find the mystery of it all. And then the third level
The
would be
mystery
criminal
of it all.
involvement, and that's the area that interests us. These people actually believe that they gain power through criminal activity,
The seething
through
powers of
killing
Lucifer.
people through various rituals that are against the law in our states and in our country.
Well, to be fair, they were doing the rituals long before you said it was against the law.
It's-
So, I mean, who's wrong here?
These fucking colonizers. Cramping my style.
Diversifying is wrong.
Eric Pryor is a former satanic high priest turned Christian,
Okay.
who now spends his time educating
wow.
people about the
Christian
dark
in the
side
front,
of satanic
Satan in the
cults.
back.
When I was practicing occultist, oftentimes I would come into this park and practice on various different holidays, lunar holidays and occultic holidays, and we'd actually have rituals in the park when we didn't have a space to do rituals indoor. So what I'd like to do is take you into the park and just kind of show you one of the places that you would start asking your questions and start looking to see, what the occultists are up to.
How many chicken bones
There's
do
two
you think he's
different
gonna
communities that use this park.
Oh, at
One
least
is
7 or
the
8.
pagan
Some
or
Popeyes
occultic
nearby.
community, and the other community is, of course, the homosexual community. Interestingly enough, they go hand in hand. And so, well, see, here you go. Upon entering the
that
park,
is
I mean, you
staged.
can see they've already got started.
No, dude, I think fags are just meeting in the park and
okay.
drawing pentagrams in the trees with cum.
This is a pentacle. Interesting thing about this pentacle is it's an upright pentacle. This is not a satanic pentacle. Now, the reason why this
I think this is one of the guys that organizes Hexfest.
pentacle would not be considered satanic is because it has one point up. Now, Satanists
I'll tell you exactly why this is satanic. It's because it represents man. with the five sides. It has the head, the arms, and the legs, and it's saying, "There's men here. Come and get it, boys."
It's already on
Disgusting.
the tree.
It's like Bohemian Grove all over again.
Right. This tree has been impregnated also, just so everyone knows.
Would reverse this star, or pentacle as it's called, and have 2 points up. Those represent the horns of Baphomet and or the horns of Satan. But now, right over here, I can see on a tree here, there's a inverted cross. Now this is satanic. This is a very generic symbol. Let me see. It's actually fairly fresh too. This here, of course, is
And then some construction guys show up, and they're like, "Oh, we're just putting some gas lines here, actually."
a bastardization
Get out of the way. We're
of
cutting this bitch
Christianity,
down.
and it's a very common symbol. Obviously, they probably had a party or a ritual here within the past night or two.
There's some beer cans
Usually
lying
what they'll
around.
do
This is
is
obviously a
they'll mark.
party.
It's almost like a path.
No good.
They'll mark a path to kind of show you where the action's at. The colors they'll use will be white.
The
Oh, I love
stations of the
the-
inverted
Those
cross.
are the dominant
The one Facebook
colors
comment
of,
here says, "This dude is
the
a true
Satanic
savior of the
movement.
West." I
I
agree.
agree.
And basically,
With a haircut like
well,
that.
Okay, over here. See,
It's a man's.
here you go.
man.
This. Well, see, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, what you're looking at here is called Voodoo Vivi. This is kind of like a coat of arms, if you will, for the demonic. And
What do you know about voodoo?
Not this.
You wouldn't recognize that as a Vivi or a
No.
Vev or however the fuck you say this shit. See, now I knew what that was supposed to be. That I knew it was supposed to be some voodoo shit. But when I look at that, it's not exactly what I say. Like White Boy definitely drew that. I don't think some
Yeah, like-
Africans are putting 666 on it.
Right, exactly what I was gonna say. And did that just literally say the word "sex" at the top there?
Does it? I didn't even notice that.
Like, look by his left foot.
I bet Africans would write that.
I'm pretty sure it's just the word "sex." And also
sex,
this
the number of the beast.
this X thing in the foreground, it kind of partially looks like the Lucifer sigil. I don't know. Maybe he was taking a little inspiration.
The lack of symmetry is jarring to me.
Yeah, like
No
all the voodoo
balance.
practitioners I know put a lot more pride into their work.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you know voodoo practitioners?
Yeah, a couple.
Nice,
You know.
nice.
And this is just sloppy. Like all this stuff's obviously staged.
Yeah.
All these. So somebody came in with the same piece of chalk and drew all these things, and he's trying to say like, well, here's where the Satanists had theirs, and here's where the voodoo priests were, and I've got to see more.
the implications of this is definitely satanic. When I showed you earlier
Definitely.
the one pointed up
Definitely.
star as we first came in, and I told you that the implications of Satanism are 2 points up. As you can see, there are 2 points up here, and someone has made it very clear. They were probably worshiping Set, because it says Set
Oh,
here,
Set.
so it's pretty obvious.
Looks like
Now,
sex to me
this
still.
here, if
I
I'm
find
not
sex more
mistaken,
convincing.
looks like a money VV. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were.
There's
here
not
in
even
the
a
park doing the
hexagram on
money
that thing.
ritual.
How's it a
And,
money BB?
This is
I don't
very
know
typical. This is the kind of
where he's
thing that
getting
you
that
can
from.
expect to see not only on crime scenes, but in areas where occultists hang out. Like gang graffiti, occultists kind of communicate to each other through their graffiti. On the rise there up here is a very flat area, concrete area, that is used often. I even frequented it for ritual practice. Well, there you go. You can see from here 666 and an eye. Now that eye above 666 is an Egyptian eye, the eye of Anubis. So I can tell by
Anubis,
looking
is
at
that
this
where we're
eye
going
that
with this
these
now?
people that were
Now
This is just,
that's Ra,
So-
right? It's the Eye of Ra.
there's Eye of Ra and Eye of Horus. There's no Eye of Anubis.
Yeah, no,
there's,
that's
there's a
stupid.
left eye and a right eye, and like sun and moon, and it's Horus and.
How about we just fucking blame the Masonic Kabbalists instead and their fucking Hebrew
Well,
magic?
they're just throwing in like he's got a big hat and he's just pulling out occult things like Set and whatever else he's gonna. It's
I got to know if this was
it's
really used to
fantastic.
train cops. I mean, they're dumb enough.
Well, they intended for it to, at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and it was 1994. I found out.
94.
Yep.
Late in the game for that fucking haircut.
Late in the game for satanic cults too, I
Yeah, yeah.
think.
It was like fucking Nirvana was popular. It wasn't even like you don't have fucking Motley Crue. You don't have Marilyn Manson yet. What the fuck do you do?
No, these are like the death throes of the '80s satanic panic. Like these are the last few people who are like, wait, no, it's real. Like, no, it's really not. You need to stop.
Well, let's
You
let
put
this
all this
bleed
here.
out a little bit then.
Up here, we're into ceremonial magic. These aren't witches. These are
I
definitely
love this map.
Satanists.
That's so
Here are these
good.
dumpsters. See, this
It's
is
like
how they
the
talk
map.
to each other.
Reminds
They
me
show
of
it
Friday
like
the
now-
13th on NES.
What you see here, this is gang graffiti, okay? And this is how gangs talk to each other.
How do
Okay?
Satanists do
But
it?
now
huh?
this is how occultists talk to each other.
With
This here
mushrooms.
is a psilocybin
Oh
mushroom.
god.
That's how Satanists talk to each
probably,
other.
That's how I talk to the machine
they had
elves.
a psilocybin ritual, which is not uncommon. Occultists are known for using peyote and
You know,
psilocybin.
he's right there.
And so
I agree with that. Do you think black people enjoy mushrooms?
Actually, in my experience, black people do not like psychedelics, and they're pretty much terrified of white people on psychedelics.
Yeah, that would be my. That's what I would assume. Actually, it's the way my dog looks at me when I'm on fucking acid.
Exactly. Because I've had times where I was walking through the town where I used to live in, which was not crazy populated, so I was just kind of taking a leisurely walk, and black people would look at me, and they could tell that like something was wrong, and yeah, it was like you
White
said,
boy
like
just
when
ain't right.
yeah, like let's not mess with him. Let's leave this one alone.
I
'Cause-
love this map. That's so funny.
Yeah, this is MS Paint. Yeah, some like the producer's kid drew this.
Zoom, enhance, zoom.
Well, this is how we can, pinpoint all the different areas of the park that he's showing us because it's obviously so large and hard to find your way around for whenever we go do our own investigation of this very same park.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, in
People
San
go
Diego.
missing in that one.
Mm-hmm. This park's
this
probably
was
littered with
probably
homeless people now.
a psilocybin
Homosexuals.
ritual. Okay, here you go. Shem Hemfarash
Shh. Oy
is a
vey.
satanic invocation, and Hallie is also part of a
That's a
satanic
lady's name.
invocation. There is a book out called The Greater Key of Solomon, and in The Greater Key of Solomon, you will see on the seal of Solomon this word. All right, from what I can tell,
You see, on my seal of Solomon, I put Shem Hemfrash on it to summon the demons. To slay the foreskins.
Yeah,
That's grand. That's what the Keys of Solomon, that's what that was, right? It was summoning the demons to build a temple.
Yeah, and I think that Shim Himfarash thing is like a Levian Satanism.
I see.
I think that's like a '60s Satanism thing.
It does seem to be like stringing together some fucking random ass syllables, basically. Sounds right.
Yeah. I'm surprised he even mentioned the Keys of Solomon, though. I mean, that is a thing.
Standard. When you're
Yeah.
looking into the Illuminati, that's like the 101 course.
Right. Yep. I teach that at my local community college annex.
How many credits is that worth?
Half a credit.
Half a credit. I like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
I like it.
from the graffiti and everything that I've seen, and what I see here on the concrete, it looks like they actually have the ritual here. Now,
Who's parked over there? Like, whose
The
truck
Satanists,
and
of
van
course.
is that? Are they still here?
there's an N here for north,
Arrest these people.
and there's an S over here for south. Now, while these are not the true directions, obviously someone had a bad sense of direction, I'm assuming that this is where they actually had their ritual. One of the reasons
That's a safe
why they would
assumption.
use this particular area to have
Yeah.
a ritual
All the
is
bones
it
of
is on
children give it
concrete,
away.
and it's a
No,
nice
these
open
were
area.
children.
When we used to
These
come
were
up
obviously
and
middle schoolers,
have
if it was
rituals,
real.
and we had a group, we would look for an open, flat space. This is an open, flat space. This would be an ideal place for them to have a ritual. Now, if
Where do
I
you
was
get
a
this
solo
shit? Flat
occult practitioner, I
surfaces?
might
The
do
fuck?
it in the bushes somewhere and have a little altar
I will say, we wizards, we love our flat surfaces.
I do.
set
I
up.
do. I like to put a level
So what you're
down.
doing is when you
That's
come
accurate.
onto a scene and you're investigating a scene, you look on the ground and you'll find clues as to what happened. Right here, okay, we have a rope here.
It's obviously a
This
murder.
It's a
This is
piece
a
of string.
noose.
It's Jesse
And
Smollett's
actually, if you
fucking
look at it
waistband.
closely, I don't know if the camera can
It's his
pick this
tie.
up, but there's blood on this noose.
Jesus. This
Now,
must have been a modern
this could
lynching.
have been used either to bind someone up in some
Walk
type of a
somebody's
ritual
dog.
scourging, or it could have actually been used on an animal that
Or
was
taken
sacrificed.
for a walk.
When sacrificing a
Just took my,
cat
I'm
or a
just taking my
dog,
chicken for a walk,
of course,
dog.
animals
Ain't
move
no
around a lot and
voodoo.
they get unruly, so they would tie it up. But there is blood all over this particular noose. Now, these are the
Stop
kind of
showing the
things
map.
that you'd be looking for. What we have here is a medicine bottle of 2% xylocaine.
Oh, that's
For
good
those of
shit,
you with
brah.
medical knowledge, you would know xylocaine, known as lidocaine, is a numbant. It's used to numb people, and for that matter, animals. And of course,
That's what the
Wait.
Aztecs used to use before they did their sun sacrifice.
Wait, can you just buy this stuff?
That looks like something you get from the vet.
Okay.
Something tells me the vet at the fucking police station has plenty of it for them fucking
Oh.
police dogs. That's where
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
with this, I think.
He's the mastermind of the whole Satanist thing.
if you're going to ritually sacrifice an animal or a human, for that matter, in a public place, you don't want them to be screaming in pain. So it's not uncommon for occultists to use something like this, and of course, here we have it. On this tree here, we have some more graffiti. It's in red, which is a classical satanic color. Now, what's interesting here is the number 9.
Classic red
9
for commies
represents the
and
9
Jews
satanic
and basically
statements.
Satan.
You can
Yep,
find this in
red's the
a
evil
book
color.
by Anton Sanzer LaVey, which is called the Satanic Bible, and you will see that there are 9
Anton
satanic
LaVey?
statements. This is the way occultists tell each other, hey, we're Satanists, and we're partying.
Hey,
All right.
this is a party. I'm
The
saying
9 Satanic Statements from the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. Number 1. Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. Number 2. Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams. Number
I fucking
3.
hate this shit.
Satan represents undefiled wisdom
Music's good.
instead of hypocritical self-deceit.
Oh my God, there's 9 of
Number
these.
4.
Wow.
This goes on
Satan
forever.
represents kindness to those who deserve it.
Dude, that's literally the Satanic Bible. It just fucking blathers on forever without like making a fucking point. Am I
Yeah.
correct in that assessment?
Yeah, it's something to look good on shelves for people who want to be edgy.
And they're like entire chapters about pecking out the eyes of the false Christ Jesus on the cross.
It's like, yeah, I know how to be fucking selfish myself. I don't
Yeah,
need books
right.
to teach me.
But the naked woman as an altar, that's enticing. It's enticing.
That's in Simon King of the Witches too, by the way.
Hmm.
There's a scene where he crashes a little satanic party.
Well, my body is ready.
Instead of love wasted on ingrates. Number 5. Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. Number 6. Satan represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires. Number 7. Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those that walk on all fours, who, because of his divine spiritual and intellectual development, has become the most vicious animal of all.
Okay.
Number 8.
Go on.
Satan represents all of the so-called sins, as they all lead to physical, mental, or emotional gratification. And number 9. Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had, as he has kept it in business all these years.
Now, it's definite. If you're looking for fucking Satanists who are involved in illegal activity, you're not going to go to the LaVeyan Satanists, who are basically just Dungeons and Dragons nerds. That like goes without saying, right? If I'm going to go for like
yeah, I mean,
Satanists involved in illegal activity, I'm looking at you, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, the Satanists involved in illegal activity are the untouchable ones, I think.
Yeah.
This is the symbol for the Church of Satan, and this is kind of like their crest, their coat of arms, if you will. This would imply that these people either have affiliations with the Church of Satan or perceive themselves to have affiliations with the Church of Satan. Everything that we've seen here indicates Satanism.
And gay
Different
sex.
ritual sites will have different configurations and markings, but this gives you
Actually, when he picked up that bottle of lidocaine, I thought it was going to be a bottle of poppers for a second.
Dude,
a
my
good
mind just
example
goes to
of what to
oxys,
look
but that's
for.
just me.
First, upon entering the park, the pentacle and inverted cross were displayed. Second,
Take notes.
further
This
up
is
the
gonna be on the
path, we
test.
found a voodoo vivi, which indicated a money ritual. Third,
Peruvian
at the open
flute.
cement
What the
areas
fuck?
that are common to satanic activity, we found graffiti that showed recent activity. In addition, we found a bloody noose and a xylocaine vial.
This is the investigation report.
Fourth, on the way out of the park, we found another inverted cross and
CSI.
the number 9, which, as we demonstrated, represents the 9 satanic statements from the Satanic Bible.
Who done it?
Fifth and finally, we found
Mullet
markings
guy.
indicating that the ritual was by followers
That's
of
an
the
actual
Church of
sigil of Lucifer, right?
I don't know if it's of Lucifer. I think it is I think it's like a Church of Satan sigil or something. But
I
I'm
can never tell. It's all bullshit to me.
not that involved with LeVay. But
Dude, I just eat acid and talk to the spirits. I can't be fucked to actually know what symbols mean.
no, this really looks like obviously what I think is whoever made this video went in and staged all that stuff. But if it was not them, to me, if I was somebody who stumbled upon this in a park, I would think it was like middle school kids who
Yep,
found some book and were just drawing stuff with chalk.
Dude, I'm sure
Because
I was
I
doing
did,
that shit, yeah.
I did shit like that in middle school. That's
Definitely.
why I'm saying that. Yeah.
Satan.
Jesus Christ, I feel like this is like
Behind me
winding
is
down
the
or
city
something.
of
It's
San
not.
Francisco,
No,
a
it's just
city
getting
known
started.
for the first satanic church in America. Anton LaVey established this church under the freedoms of our country
Those
in
goddamn
1966
freedoms.
and wrote the Satanic Bible.
Anton LaVey, perhaps the best-known Satanist in America, compiled his years of cult knowledge into 2 of Satanism's most
Years of
important
cult
handbooks,
knowledge.
the
His
Satanic
2 years
Bible
of occult knowledge.
and a
His
companion,
6 months of being
the
a Jewish
Satanic
carnival act.
The general practice of Satanism promotes 3 basic areas of attraction: gratification of flesh, gratification of ego, and power.
Nice.
Some Satanists, and a significant number of others, feel that Satanism is a viable way of getting supernatural help because they are too distant from the good God to have any hope of reaching him.
Oh my god.
The good God and his virtues, such as beauty and joy, are essentially impractical. And it would be easier to catch the notice of an evil God than a good one.
All right, that's all made up.
Yeah, well, the implication here is that there's people who actually get up in the morning and they're like, I will do evil today. That's just not a thing. It's not a
Well,
thing.
it's-
Everyone who does evil shit is rationalizing it.
Or it's almost like they're saying, like, oh, well, all these Satanists are just lazy. Like, oh, I don't want to worship God and be all good. It's so much easier just to be evil and worship Satan.
Is it though? Is it really easier
No.
to make altars and go out into the woods and spray paint fucking trees and shit? That sounds like a lot of work, actually.
No, because then you get clowns like this investigating you.
It's just trolling.
Yeah.
Master
yeah.
trolling.
No, it's easy to go sit in church, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But I don't know. This guy's long dead, I'm sure.
To better understand Satanism, it might be appropriate to talk about some of the initiation practices for Satanists. And to better understand them, you would take a look at what might be traditional Christianity.
And just a note, he's in San Francisco, which is also where the headquarters of Bohemian Grove is located. Just FYI.
That's a good point, bruh.
Or some normal faith, and if you reversed it, it would be something that Satanists would embrace.
Initiation into Satanism or a similar cult usually includes a spoken denial of the Christian faith, generally accompanied by saying the Lord's Prayer backwards.
Spitting on the cross. Sodomy.
Rebaptism in Satan's name and taking a new name to replace the
The
given
new name.
Christian name.
Set
An oath of allegiance to Satan while standing in a magic circle, entering the initiate's name in the Book of Death. And a
The
promise
devil's
to
mark.
sacrifice children to Satan, and marking the initiate with the devil's mark.
This program is designed to help law enforcement
Was that a little
officers
drunken
better
slur there?
understand satanic cults.
Is
Now remember,
designed.
all
Maybe.
satanic
That wouldn't
people
surprise me
do
at
not
all.
commit
Yeah, a
crimes.
little nip of schnapps.
Some of their
before
activities
filming.
are perfectly legal.
That's the
But
most
there are
godly
some
drink.
things that some
Yes.
Satanists do that lead to illegal behavior, and some of them seem rather innocent on the surface. Some of those things might be just simple vandalism or trespass. Cruelty to animals that might be detected through mutilations
No,
and
Satanists
sacrifice.
love animals.
Kidnapping, whether
Yo, can you refresh? I think you might be a few seconds off from me.
Let's see.
It should bring you right back to where you are.
It refreshed it and it brought it back to the beginning.
Yeah? I'm gonna hit play
Let me
and see.
see.
what-
they're
Oh,
adults or children,
go.
or
Cool.
even kidnapping of animals. Rape,
Right.
molestation,
I like the
child
emphasis.
Yep.
child sexual
He
abuse
likes saying
that
that
may be
one.
different than just harming a child.
Just naming all the
Ritual
abhorrent
abuse.
things, man. Ugh.
Arson,
Arson.
murder, which might include human sacrifice, or mass murders, or cannibalism,
Counterfeiting.
Including, but not
drug
limited to.
trafficking, sexual trafficking of children,
Forgery.
corpse theft,
Corpse theft.
Jaywalking.
cemetery
That's my
vandalism,
favorite.
black market sales of bones and skulls, black market baby selling, pedophilia, pornography, torture,
Oh god.
desecrating churches or other religious buildings,
Comic books.
human slavery,
Reading.
Associating with atheists.
weapons violations, suicides, disposing of animal parts,
Wait,
illegal entry.
but am I just supposed to
in-
save up all these parts? I have all these animal parts. Am I not supposed to dispose of them?
I mean, I guess you're supposed to keep them and make stuff out of them.
Dude, my house is just full of animal parts. I gotta get rid of them somehow. It's so funny. What if they're foreskins? Do they have to go in the volcano? Is that the only way to get rid of foreskins properly?
Yeah, you can make a necklace out of them.
You can make a belt,
Yep.
Ed Gein. You know? Make
Yeah.
some lampshades, brah.
See, if
To
you hang on to all
mortuaries.
your stuff, you get caught like him. So that's why you gotta dispose of it.
Dispose of, exactly.
necrophilia,
Proper
or
disposal of
having
my
sex
necrophilia.
with dead people. These things may or may not be satanic kinds of rituals, but they're important to note in your reporting because they would fit
Just
together
be
in a
aware of
fabric
these things as
follow-up
you go about your
investigations
business.
might indicate
Right.
a deeper need to look into the dark side of your community.
That guy was sketched out.
Note them well and ask the investigators to do a little further follow-up if you find any of these indicated in a crime or in a police report.
Ooh, tools.
I got a garden hoe.
There is a difference between Satanism, voodoo, and witchcraft. And what I'd like to do is show you different altar setups so you can familiarize yourself.
Before we get into these sweet altar setups, fucking we got Megan in chat who seems to be criticizing us for not taking this seriously. Well, I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
I saw like she likes to misquote me, talking about all the satanic voodoo practitioners I know, and apparently I said it's really not real. No, I'm saying what they're doing is not real.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all, but anyway.
Here's the thing. I've seen plenty of evidence that there's fucked up shit going on, that there's fucking sacrifices going on, that there's fucking child trafficking going on. That I fucking have seen enough evidence to fucking buy into a lot of this shit. What these guys are doing is retarded. This video is fucking retarded. It's not taking
Yeah.
it seriously, and it's not giving the credence to the subject that it actually deserves. And frankly, I'm just fucking around watching a retarded ass video right now. So
Right, it's
I don't
it's
know.
completely irrelevant to police investigation and Satanism. That's why it's hilarious.
I fucking wish I don't know what police should be doing about it. I think they might be totally useless in this fucking
Well, they
in this
can't do anything
department.
about it. I mean, if there's any Satanists behind things like human trafficking and pedophilia rings and all that stuff, the police aren't going to be able to stop
Yeah,
them because they're governors and senators and CEOs.
you better pray Jesus is coming back because I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do
Yeah.
other than that.
Because that's the kind of twisted shit that you have to do to entertain yourself whenever you're so rich and powerful that you can afford
Yeah,
the fanciest champagne and the best drugs and
I
the
buy
best
that.
sex.
I think
It's
there's
like, well,
literally
what the fuck am I supposed to do now? I guess I'll rape and murder this 8-year-old.
you have shit like the most dangerous game. Like I think that's actually going on. You have like islands where rich people
Mm-hmm.
are hunting humans. Like honestly, dude, I don't know. I've done some pretty depraved things, but I've never had the influence for it to actually hurt anybody but myself. Like I can't imagine. I don't know
Yeah,
what
but
I'd be doing if
imagine
I
if
had
you
too
had
much
more.
money.
Imagine if you had more money than you knew what to do with, and you were just bored.
Yeah.
Like, imagine what kind of. I mean, not you personally, but
Fuck maybe.
the
Who
average.
knows?
The
I can't
average.
imagine.
Yeah, you don't
It's
know,
not a
but the
situation
average
I want to
person.
be in.
Yeah, the average person with access to that is trying to be like, yeah, maybe I'll try this weird fucked up thing I saw in a movie. You know?
I think I'd probably just fucking take way too much fucking like speed and dope and just suffocate under a pile of women and I would just die real it'd be quick. I wouldn't last
Yeah,
long.
yeah.
I don't think I'd hurt anybody really.
Lots of drugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
with how these people operate and their various different paraphernalia. These particular groups that I'm going to show you the different altar setups of are the type of groups that would most probably be involved in criminal activity.
Probably.
While you wouldn't find all this stuff at a crime scene, you will find evidence that they have been at a crime scene. For instance, you might find something like this pin here, which is used to penetrate a pulpit like we have sitting here.
Is that cigarette butts?
But then again, there are other things that
Yep.
might be left behind
That's
that would
pretty shady. Are they
indicate
Newports?
voodoo. Now, voodoo is colorful.
Colorful? It's colorful.
But usually beads and shells are
It's black
associated with
magic.
it.
It's not
What you're looking at here is 2 small conch shells and some beads. Now, this is what a priest would put on the necklace, such as I'm wearing
Nope,
here.
not like that.
This would indicate high
Those are
priesthood.
legitimate African
You might
beads.
find conches like this with beads. You might find powders like this left behind.
The cocaine is a crack cocaine.
This is the type of stuff that would usually be left behind in a crime
That's
scene.
corpse dust.
You're not going to find
Well, that's even better.
Yeah.
candles intact, and if you do, you might find a candle very similar to the one I'm
Yeah,
holding
you can find
here.
that in every
Now,
Mexican's
you might look
house
at this
also.
candle and say, well, what makes this candle different? Well, first of all, any candle that's used in Santeria, Macumba, or Voodoo generally will have a patron saint on the front. Now, this
But that is literally just like a Walmart Jesus candle.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. That's where I buy mine.
On the same page here. Okay.
is the saint that they would be paying obeisances to, you know, lighting the nicotine up to, drinking the rum to, and smoking the cigar smoke to.
I got a fucking a factoid here. Nicotine. It's always been used traditionally by like the South American tribes who are doing like the ayahuasca ceremonies. They always use a lot of tobacco, and part of the cleansing ceremony is to smoke a shitload of tobacco until you're like throwing up, to have it blown all
Right.
over you and all this. Do you know why? I think I figured it out.
I know part of it is because, and I know for some of those ceremonies they want you to throw up because it's
Yes.
part of like the toxicity and all that stuff.
There is that. That's the purge. But now the thing about ayahuasca is that it's two different plants, and the one plant contains DMT, and that's the psychedelic. But the thing is, your stomach breaks that down naturally. Like you can't get high off it like that. But with the other plant that they add to it, it's an MAOI, which I'm not exactly sure how it all fucking works, but I think it like inhibits like a stomach acid or something like that, so then the chemical can get through to your brain. Now
yeah,
the
and
thing
like
is,
part of that is your stomach has to be empty to start too. So that's why, yeah, like part of the ceremony is like you help them make the drink, and then they like I was just heard a podcast about it the other day, but yeah, they do stuff to make you throw up. Like they
Yeah.
give you some like the drink itself. I think is even supposed to. It's like nasty, so it makes you throw up.
yes, tobacco is an MAOI also. and
Hmm.
that's what the DMT requires in order to get through to pass, I guess, the blood-brain barrier.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
it's another MAOI that's being used in conjunction with whatever vine they're using in the tea to make the DMT active.
I love seeing those pictures of those old, like, 80, 90-year-old South American women smoking big, giant, fat cigars. Like, they're all leather faced and just, like, wrapped up in robes, living in their village somewhere. And they're, like, the second oldest person in the whole tribe. And they're just sitting there smoking cigars all day.
Hell yeah, that's the way to live.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But on the back, it'll have a prayer to that patron saint that is only indicative to candles used in Santeria, Macumba, and Voodoo.
That's not true.
Another thing that you might find would be small vials like this.
Dude.
These
You'll find
vials
lots
will
of vials in the
contain
park
some
in the
type of a
city.
ritual oil.
Jesus.
Yeah, you'll find lots of
Usually
lots
these
of living
oils are
single
poured
essential
over a
oils.
coal
Yes,
in the
exactly.
ritual practice.
This is some
You
doTERRA.
might find a lot of empty oil vials at a ritual site. What you're looking at here is a classical satanic altar setup. Now, there are more than one type of satanic group.
It's
There
not
are
even
rogue
like
satanic groups where you have a
fucking
bunch of
naked
young people
18-year-old
that
on
get
there. How's that
together
even
and they
satanic?
read books such as the
Now it's,
Satanic Bible by Anton
It's a
Sanzorove,
dinosaur satanic
or
altar.
some of the stuff that is published by the Temple of Set, which is also another large church of Satan. But now an
Are you familiar with the Temple of Set?
Yeah.
That's a very
Yeah.
fucking interesting one. That's like
Mhm.
legitimately interesting. That's not fucking bullshit. That's a guy fucking what's his name? Michael Aquino? Is that
Yeah.
correct? Yeah, he
Yep.
started it as an offshoot of the Church of Satan. Well, he's actually like a high-ranking guy in the fucking military and like the
Yes.
head of psychological warfare.
Yep. Yeah, he was on what, Geraldo or something
Yeah,
back in
that
the
sounds
early
right.
'90s. He
Yeah.
was on some talk show and he talks all about it. And I also heard last podcast on the left does a really good breakdown of it. They do like a 3 or 4 part series about
Never get
government
into that show.
satanic things.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
That sounds worth listening to. I first heard of
Definitely.
it from Behold a Pale Horse, Bill Cooper's book.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, there's all kinds of uh, good last podcast on the left things where they do one where they talk about the what's it, the cover up, what's that school
Franklin
cover up?
cover-up?
Yes, they do like a 3 part thing about the Franklin school cover up, and then they do another one that's all about just like government satanic conspiracies, and they just have all these stories about different people who've come forward and witnesses, and it's like, well, yeah, a lot of them are bullshit, but surely they're not all bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
organized satanic group has an organized way of setting up its altar. What you're looking at here is a classical satanic altar setup. It's very Spartan. 2 candle holders. One candle would have a white, one would have a black. You'd have a Baphomet candle in the center,
Sure.
or a Mendes goat is
Why
what it's
not?
called. You would have a male candle on the left-hand side and a female candle on the right-hand
What
side.
the fuck does that mean?
You would have a skull, which is
The fuck is a
considered
male
the
and
barrier
female
of
candle?
death, and a bell to
Like
ring
a
for each
figure
one
of a
the
man and a
9
figure of a
satanic
woman.
statements.
Yeah.
And
Are those easy to come by?
Yeah, like magic shops have shaped
Really?
candles.
See,
Yep.
I'm not aware of this shit. My rituals
Yeah.
are different. They happen in
Yeah,
my
you,
head.
you can get like big candles shaped like dicks and
Dick
candles
candles.
shaped
That's
like-
awesome. That's
candles
great.
shaped like people.
they would
Yeah.
ring it.
Can I get a
You would
bell
also
shaped like a
have 2
dick?
ceremonial daggers.
Maybe.
One ceremonial dagger is actually used in directing the forces of magic, the way occultists would do that,
Okay, that's Wicca.
as in directing their powers. And the
Well,
other dagger,
he's really just, this is all just like a mishmash of like all the stuff he's talking about. Like, yeah, that's real stuff people do, but not like all everything together like this.
This is like what a fucking teenage goth girl does.
exactly, yeah. This is like if you know if you like hired a stage director to make what they think an altar is supposed to look like for a high school play.
which would
They would come up
called
with
a
something like
bolain,
this.
would actually be used in ritual work. If I were going to sacrifice someone, I would use my bolain. It's considered
Oh,
a
okay.
working
You're gonna
knife.
sacrifice, bro.
So in a satanic altar setup, you're always going to look for 2 knives.
I have a lot more knives
Yeah,
than
what
that.
you're looking at here is a basic witchcraft setup. Now the difference is you don't see the bells. You don't see the satanic
Fisher in
Bible.
chat, my man.
And you'll see a couple extra things here. For
Yeah, he's
instance,
gonna
most witches
have
are
some
very
real
adept
knowledge
at
to lay
using
down
the
for us
tarot.
here, probably.
Witches are very,
I hope so.
very big on an art called scrying or fortune telling. Another interesting addition is that, notice, the candle holders are wooden. Witches perceive themselves to be nature-centered religious belief systems, so that they use as many natural elements
Yeah,
as
because
possible.
they're harmless.
The other thing
How
is,
is
instead
metal
of having
not
a
natural?
ceremonial dagger like we have here that would be used in
He's
Satanism,
dumb.
they would just use a very simple 1 dagger. That's called an athame. Now, the athame is used when they charge
Where's that word come from? Do you know?
the wine.
I don't know where it comes from. I've heard it pronounced a lot of different ways. Like athame, athame, like he said. I don't know. It's
Alright. Just curious.
it's a good question. I'm sure it's probably Latin or something.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Which would
Just
be in the
curious.
chalice. The athame would be used when they charge the wine, which would be in the chalice. The salt, which would be in the salt bowl. And the water, which would be in the water bowl, as well as the
Thanks,
incense. Another interesting addition we have here is Kyrnos. This is one of the gods
Is he
of the
saying
witches.
that right?
And the center for any witchcraft altarpiece
I
will
never knew how
have
to say it. I've only
either
read it.
Kyrnos, which is the god of the witches, or Diana. Another thing that witches will often have on their altar is a mortar and pestle, because they work a lot with pharmakeia.
That's how
or
I
various
grind my
different
dank
incenses.
buds.
Now this is an incense we
Yeah,
have
I mean,
here
It's a
that
tool.
would be used in ritual practice. Notice they're very
That's
bright
turmeric.
in color. There are many
That's
different
literally
kinds.
turmeric right
It's a
there.
superfood,
These
bro.
are the kind of things that you might find left over at a crime scene. You might find little piles of
In the spice
colored,
cabinet.
it looks like chalk, but it's not chalk. It's actually incense. And if you were to take it and smell it, it usually has a very fragrant
Shitty
smell.
incense.
Another thing that you'll find is usually there's chalk. There's usually a piece of red chalk and a piece of white chalk. This is used to draw a circle
Is what
around
the
the
fags in
ritual
the park
area.
used.
It's called a
Yeah,
boundary
that's it,
between the
very same
worlds.
stick of chalk.
And then what they will do is make various different magical symbols in those circles, believing that these symbols will seal off an area. Now, witches are known for their artwork,
For their artistry.
their drawing of
Witches
symbols,
are known for their artwork.
their use of colored powders, and of course the use of natural products like wooden
That's
candle
not
holders,
incense.
Like-
I don't.
like-
even wooden knives.
I've never seen incense like that.
And
like
so
Tom's
this would be
natural
more indicative
toothpaste.
of witchcraft. As you have
Yeah, witches
seen,
love Dr.
the
Bronner's
difference
soap.
between the items you might find on an altar from the various different occult styles is subtle. When you pay attention, you'll see that there is indeed a distinct difference. These differences will give you the understanding of the type of group you're dealing with. And when you know the type of group you're dealing with, you'll also
Man,
learn to
I'm
understand
hyped to go
how
start
they
hunting
think,
down some cults.
where they'll
Since I'm
congregate,
armed with all this knowledge.
and where they'll be.
I'm gonna print off that map of that park
I know, right?
and go to San Diego, get a one-way flight, and just go start hunting down these ingrates.
We got the strategy guide right here.
Yeah, it's Christ Jesus on my side.
There are many different satanic symbols. Here are a few of the more common ones. The inverted cross. This is used to defame the Christian religions. In a righted position, Christ's head would be looking up towards heaven. In this position, it would point downward towards Satan
Towards
and hell.
Australia.
By defaming a Christian symbol, the thought is that power is taken away.
I would like to note that inverted cross, I've heard that it said that like the Pope will have that like on his chair or some shit like that. People point to it and say it's Satan, and maybe it is. I always heard the rationale that it's a sign of distress. Like that's when you fly the American flag upside down, it's a distress signal. It's not to like be like fuck America. So like to say that the church is in distress is something that the church would do. Like that's like scriptural to be like we're persecuted, blah blah blah.
I've never thought of it like that. I don't see a lot of inverted crosses.
Yeah, I've only seen them on like the
No.
Pope, honestly.
How telling.
Yeah.
The numbers 666. According to the Bible, these numbers 666 are the mark of the beast. The pentagram. This inverted star points downward towards hell and Satan. It is a popular symbol but has no meaning other than a satanic one, and there may be many different versions. The voodoo vivi. As we saw in the park, it represents the type of ritual that occurs.
There's some symmetry going on in that one.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
that one
which
was
is
better.
the symbol of rebellion.
Fucking ANCAPs.
And the swastika. In past history, this symbol has been used by
Good luck
witches and
symbol.
warlocks as a magic emblem. A glossary of selected terms. The altar. A table used for satanic rituals, normally a table
The whore
of
you
flat
put your
rock,
salt and
but
water
can also
bowls
be
on.
a nude
Yep.
physical female being.
Yeah, even
The Antichrist.
Still working
The
on
Bible's
finding
Book
one
of
of
Revelations
those.
describes him as the son of Satan, who will return and be present to receive his powers and challenge Jesus Christ during his second coming.
All right.
The Baphomet. Described as a deity in the form of a goat-headed god with the wings of angels, the breasts of a female, and carrying a torch between
And a big
his
old
horns.
dick.
well, yeah.
Black magic. Magic that is used for destruction and hate.
Stealing
Black
bicycles.
Mass. The most diabolical ritual that can be performed by a Satanist. It entails a blasphemous communion with Satan, desecration of artifacts of Christianity,
Black
a
Mass is the
mockery of the
larpiest
Holy
thing in
Bible,
history.
and all things that Christians
Yeah,
religiously cherish. The ceremonies
I don't
involve
know, I
rape
mean,
and sexual assault, sodomy, animal and human
this
sacrifices,
just really seems
and
like a lot
often
of like
the slaughter of
edgy
unbaptized
atheist
infants.
cosplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Blood. The
Blood.
life force. Satanists
Blood.
believe that the drinking of another person's blood, or that of an animal, increases their power and provides life force directly to Satan.
I will say
The
the
circle.
Satanic Bible specifically
The
says not to
circle
hurt
is the
animals.
Satanists' protection
So,
from the
that's
forces
fair.
that conjure
Yeah,
up during their summoning.
Most magical people I know
incantation.
love animals.
I don't eat meat.
Coven.
Really?
A group
say it
of
very often, said
non-traditional
it in public.
Satanists,
Whatever.
not normally exceeding 13. Traditional Satanists do not have covens. Cult. A group of people who follow a leader who, through his charismatic ways,
Oh,
commands
that's what a
allegiance,
cult is.
belief, and worship. Infamous leaders include Hitler, Crowley, Jim Jones, and David Koresh.
Ooh, David Koresh. Really? You're gonna bring him into
Some
this?
of these dudes are kind of woke.
Devil.
Yeah.
One such name of
Really?
Satan, Lucifer,
Hold on.
Leviathan,
Really? Christian musician David Koresh? We're gonna bring him into... Really?
Yeah, you're not a real
Prince
fan
of
of metal
Darkness.
if you don't know who that is.
Right.
Goat's Head, the symbolic identification of Satan in the world. Grottos, countless
Oh, are you on
Satanists
that,
in one
that
order
Facebook page
or
that's got all
organization.
the David Koresh memes?
Oh man.
Hand of
I
glory.
feel like my group is
The
that.
left
I
hand
don't
of a
know.
person who has died. The hand
No, I
is
found one
removed
that's
from the
all-
body,
it's all
pickled,
Koresh memes.
embalmed,
It's great.
and mummified.
Sounds awesome.
It is then used to ward off evil spirits. The head. Satanists
Let's
believe
define
that the head
this,
is the
okay?
most important part
The
of the
head
body.
bone connected
They
to the
often
neck bone.
eat the brain to receive powers of the deceased person.
Okay, quick PSA. Do not eat anyone's brains. There's really bad
You
stuff.
just
that can
can't
really
handle the power
fuck
that
you
it will
up.
bring you. Well, that's how
Well,
skinwalkers are made, man.
There's prions in there. It's bad stuff.
That's where like the
Virus.
Wendigo tale came from.
Yeah.
It's like the boogeyman that's like don't eat people
The heart.
because you'll go crazy.
Satanists believe it to be the center of life. By eating the heart, they believe that assumption of the deceased's characteristics and powers will be thus
Now
transferred.
go crazy eating the heart. That's safe.
Host.
Little tough.
Normally using blessed communion wafers, symbolic
Just don't
of the
eat
body of
livers and
Christ,
don't eat brains.
Satanists insert them into the vagina of the altar, or physically
going
stomp,
on here?
thus desecrating Christian beliefs.
In vagina of the
Does
altar?
it actually have a vagina? Is there like
I
a
don't
think
fleshlight
my-
attached to
When
it?
cast out of
I don't
heaven,
think my
he was
altar has a
followed by
vagina.
1/3 of all the angels. Pagans, those who practice witchcraft, the worship of nature as well as multiple gods. Satan, an angel created by God,
You already
cast
did
out of
devil.
heaven, and now the object of worship by Satanists.
You don't know the
throughout
difference.
the
I know
world.
the difference.
Well, the police
Succubus,
don't.
They don't have a
a
clue.
female demonic force that copulates with human males. Incubus, a male
Shitty
demonic
90s
force
band.
that copulates with human females. And
They're covering everything.
witchcraft, the practice of the old religion which focuses on the goddess in her many
Christ,
forms.
I need more beer for this.
This is a little misleading.
We're getting to the good stuff now. Fuck.
Finally, I had to sit an hour through this to get to the child abuse.
Perhaps one of the most despicable crimes in general, and in particular among Satanists, is that involving a child. In every state in the nation, there are reports
Of
and
children.
investigations of satanic crime and
Nation's just
satanic
crawling
ritual
with
abuse. More than 2 million American children each year are reported missing, many of them too
Not
young
nearly
to be
enough.
runaways. In addition,
Oh, that kid's
more
clearly
than
run away.
5,000 unidentifiable bodies of children are found annually in the United States.
Dark.
Physical abuse was a part of keeping me silent. My fingers were burned on a stove. I was forced to watch pets
Was
killed
Kathy
and
O'Brien?
put in an oven. And I was told that if I talked, the same thing would happen to me.
No, that's that,
They would dismember
shit.
Oh, nice hat.
bodies and
What's her
then
name?
hang me upside down over a vat.
No, that's...
I think it was acid.
Oh,
I'm
this is
not
gonna be
sure,
a
but
dated
they were
reference. No, that's... I think
body
that's
parts.
Christine
And
Blasey
they told
Ford.
me they would lower me into the
And then what did Brett Kavanaugh
acid
do?
if I ever talked about this.
More beer.
Yeah, I
The one
tried too
memory I
hard for
had,
that reference.
in order
That
to
was
get
poor.
the blood,
I'm sorry.
they used me as the person to get the blood from. I was basically the lamb, the child of God. And they would put pins and needles in between my fingers.
I wonder if she
And I
drew
would
these
be
pictures
bled
as a
so that
child
they
or as
could
an
have
adult.
communion. Another way to keep me silent
still waiting
was
to hear
to
if she
use a
survived.
gun. Pornography, child prostitution brings in big money, and I was not to talk about that either. And I was threatened to be killed if I talked, as well as burned.
Don't talk about big money, it will kill ya.
They used cigarettes and other forms of
This is someone passing a joint.
burning.
Ha
Just
ha
like,
ha.
ha.
Silent. And I had a pet bird
Lol.
that they
I feel
killed
like
in
anybody who
front of
knows
me.
this woman's going to be able to identify her based on the
And,
silhouette of her haircut.
Then I was put in a cage.
Previous thing.
And so as a young child, I made the association that if I were in a cage, then I must be like the bird. And if they can kill the bird, they can easily kill me too. Remembering comes out in poetry as
Oh
well.
God, no poetry,
And
please.
my pet bird was killed in front of me. And I was also forced to participate in the murder of babies.
No,
And
you
so I
weren't.
wrote a poem about not being able to talk about that. Birds and babies go away. Mustn't tell, mustn't say. Mommy will get mad at me. Must pretend I do not see. Nothing happened. Don't remember. Helter
Gotta get the
skelter.
fucking Charles
Now
Manson
dismember.
reference. Jesus.
Witches chant and babies burn. Mustn't talk. It will be my turn.
Charles Manson was based and woke.
Yep. And now he's ascended.
God, I miss Uncle Charlie.
Yeah, he never answered any of my
Symptoms
letters.
characterizing satanic ritual abuse and sexual abuse in preschool-aged children. Low self-esteem, feeling of being bad. Child feels deserving of punishment. Child is fearful, clingy, regresses to baby behavior.
And that's just how you raise them, I
Separation
think.
anxiety. The child is angry and aggressive. The child acts
Talking about
wild,
pit bulls? I can't tell.
uncontrolled, hyperactive.
Talk about basketball Americans.
The child is accident-prone or deliberately hurts himself. The child is negativistic, resistant to authority.
Why are they describing me as a child?
The child mistrusts
Oppositional
adults.
defiance disorder, I guess.
The
Child
child
listens
is
to Iggy Pop and the
over-compliant
Stooges.
with authority, or pleasing with adults. The child has rapid mood changes. The child is withdrawn, does not play, or plays in a lethargic or
Well, that's me now.
unfocused way. The child exhibits a short attention span. The child does not learn.
Basically just a fucking stupid kid.
The child's speech is regressed and babyish. He has delayed speech or speech
Non-compliant and
disorder.
over-compliant are
The
both
child's
signs.
speech production
Yeah.
decreases
Yeah,
significantly.
this is very.
There are somatic complaints, stomach aches,
Yeah.
nausea,
Stomach aches.
vomiting, nightmares, and
fuck?
sleep disorders.
Okay, those are just
The
flu
child is
symptoms.
fearful of being touched, fears having genital area washed.
What the fuck?
What?
No, Dad, get away from my genital area.
The child touches his
I'm
genitals
fine.
or
Just get away
masturbates
from me.
excessively. The child touches or
fuck is
tries to
going
insert
on
fingers
here?
into his
Is
rectum.
this fanfic?
I'm
The
getting
child pulls
freaked
down
out,
his
man.
pants, pulls up her dress, or takes off clothes inappropriately. The child touches others sexually or asks for sex.
I don't know if we're supposed to be watching this.
Yeah, is this legal to stream?
The child is sexually provocative.
Send me
or
bitcoins
seductive.
before I get shut down, dude.
He or she
Yeah.
complains of vaginal.
I didn't want to
anal
get banned this way.
burning when washed or when urinating or defecating.
That's just a UTI.
Semen
Whoa,
or bloodstains
whoa,
are found
whoa.
on the child's underwear. Detailed and age-inappropriate
Motherfucking,
understanding of sexual behavior.
I don't know. I got no jokes on this one.
Yeah, I don't know. This is.
Hints about
This is dark.
sexual activity. The child complains that an adult or older child is bothering them. A reference to blood or white stuff in genital area.
All right, I think a lot of this is stuff that the police should already know.
Yeah, well, these
Like,
are like legitimate
Statements
things
that
that, like,
someone
you
had
see a kid with
removed
these
the
Yeah,
issues,
child's
it's a
clothing.
fucking problem. You don't know how to
The statement that
shoehorn
an
it
older
into the
child or
dumbass
adult
fucking Satan
exposed
video.
themselves to the
Yeah,
child.
like-
Doing a
Satanism
disservice
aside.
to actual problems.
yeah.
A child's statement that he or she touched an older child's or adult's bottom, vagina,
Jesus
rectum,
Christ! Like.
mouth,
Kirk, Kirk.
etc.
da 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 da. Waka waka waka.
A statement that an older child or
Oh
adult
my God.
touched or penetrated the child's bottom,
I feel like
vagina,
somebody's
rectum,
penetrating
mouth,
my vagina
etc.
right now.
A statement that the child witnessed sex acts.
Oh, I'm fucking everything up.
On medical examination, relaxed sphincter control,
No,
anal
that's
or
fine.
rectal
Yeah, no, it was
lacerations or
totally
scarring.
fucking relevant,
Relaxes
actually.
rather than tenses rectum when
This
touched.
works. That's how I feel.
On medical examination, enlargement of vaginal
Holy
opening,
shit, how long does
vaginal
this go on
laceration
for?
or
I don't
scarring
know.
in girls,
Is this
sore
what the
penis in
next
boys,
25
I
blood
know,
or
right?
trauma in the genital area.
Let's fast forward a little bit. Yeah, this guy looks
Anytime
fun.
you do have
This is like the
situation
fun
where you
part of
find
the
them,
video.
or you
Yeah, I love that
friends.
scarf.
Most type of clothing.
Back a little bit. There we go. Youth
Different
involvement.
sweater.
Get involved in your community with Satan.
I like how the guy had a
Unfortunately,
sweater
all
costume
of the signs
change.
of self-involvement, rebellion against authority, self-righteousness, disrespect towards parents, they're common in the growing up years. They're also signs of involvement in satanic cults. Perhaps one of the major signs of cult involvement is when the group moves into obsession. They get stuck on one idea, one type of clothing. They center
called
focus
magic,
on
bro.
this idea and they
Yeah.
do not deviate. They focus on destruction and on doom.
Is
They
it
have
though?
many highs and many
I focus
lows
on
in their
Doom sometimes. I'm not gonna
self-esteem.
lie.
They have drastic changes
I
in
do play a lot
behavior
of
like
Doom.
eating habits, cleanliness, punctuality, and attitude towards family and friends.
Most of the people we deal with, the young adults that we deal with, have other problems that
I love that
are
collar. My God.
synonymous with even sometimes gang activity.
you wish he was
They're
your
looking
PO?
for
He looks like David Duke.
things that they may not have at home. They're looking for self-esteem. They're looking for something that they can belong to. And a lot of times these kids start out innocently enough trying to get into something that they feel that they're wanted, and people will form them and make their opinions to the point where they're really involved in satanic activity.
Just trying to fit in,
Anytime
man.
you do have a situation where you find a ritual site or you find graffiti something that they can belong to, shows some kind of satanic situation, then you need to look at it and investigate it. And I think the big thing is
that
to
what
keep
they're
your mind
supposed to
open.
do?
Yeah, right.
Parents
Look at it. Gotcha.
need to keep an open mind. A lot of
I
times,
just imagine like the
parents,
rookie police
and,
officer watching this,
people
taking
in
notes.
general will
Look
close their
at
eyes
it.
to things.
Well, this guy's just like, parents, you got to keep an open mind when I come around your children with my mustache. It's been him all along. He's the criminal.
Yeah, I was originally thinking it was that vet, but now it's this guy.
That they
Maybe
don't
he's
want
the
to hear.
vet. I don't know.
Maybe.
If you keep an open mind and try to know your kids and learn what your kids are all about,
That's a
I
really
think
fucking
that'll,
solid haircut, though.
be a big step into understanding
I don't know if I like the
what's
haircut
going
or the
on, and
jacket
then being
more.
able to identify
Just
any
like feathered
problems that may
perfectly.
arise, or situations that you might see that you might need to look for help and not keep a closed
And that
mind.
collar reminds me of the art
Believe me,
that AIDS guy did.
I've been in this business for 10 years.
Keith Haring.
and
Oh, God.
You're
I don't know what
always,
we're talking about.
It's a Keith Haring
amazed
original
at
there.
what kids will do and the different fads that come up. And sometimes it may be totally innocent. It may not be occult activity. It may not be satanic activity. But hopefully, if you have the open mind,
Just
you'll
the
be able
blacks.
to notice that.
Yeah, that's what it all
When we
boils
get
down
involved
to.
in some of these training
It's all those ethnics.
groups, we try to talk to PTAs and school administrators and things like that.
The PTA.
Not only,
They'll fucking
in,
solve this
occult
mystery.
activity,
Yeah.
but
Oh my
just
gosh.
keeping an open mind
just get
on
Scooby
what
in the gang.
teenagers are all about
They'll
nowadays.
do a better
and,
job.
They may be involved in this stuff. They may be what we call dabbling in some kind of occult activity. It
that'll
may be
do.
just a
Remember
rebellion
Dabblers
on
back in the first
some form
portion?
of Christian
Exactly.
upbringing, something to get your attention.
As you observe
look out
kids
for the
that may be
dabblers.
involved in satanic cult activities, be patient, be watchful. It's best to understand them, because provoking them will only drive them deeper into the cult and that behavior. Teach the parents and the school officials and the youth workers to note these behavior changes and to take time to find out what's going on in their lives.
Why don't you just ask the kid to
Teach
show
them
you
to
their
ask
sweet
them
altar?
meaningful questions and what the symbols
Like, oh,
are
why don't
about
you-
that they might write on their notebooks
Tell
and
me about some of your
they might
symbols.
wear on their clothing.
Like in Hey Arnold.
Teach
Helga's
these youth
closet,
workers and
she'd have to
parents
shrine.
to talk to their kids about the lyrics of the songs that they listen to over and over again. They have a
What are these lyrics? Nigga, 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 suck a dick, bitch. Well, let me tell you, Johnny, I've had some experience with these things.
Yep.
right to know what's going on in
I
young
used to be
people's
a cop.
lives, and
And
open
a pastor.
communication allows that to happen. Don't
Now
hesitate
both.
to encourage these parents and youth workers to seek outside help. Call your local support services for youth. They can be a great help to you. Never stop this important investigation into lives for the value of our
The
kids in
schnapps
America.
is starting to wear off. You can tell.
Satanists celebrate a host of rituals and ceremonies during the course of each year. As some are held more important than others, a host of crimes are committed before, during, and after the ceremonies. On January 7th, the celebration of St.
Hey,
Weinbald
that's my
is held.
birthday.
It is
Saint
a blood
Weinbald
ritual
on your
and animal or
birthday.
human sacrifice,
Nice.
including
This is the
surgical
first time
dismemberment.
hearing about this, actually.
Completed with
I don't know who
males
that
between
is.
the ages of 15 and 33 years
Yeah,
of age.
anybody does.
I've never heard of this, and I've
Satanic revels
surely
are
I
held
would've come
on
across it.
January 17th. A sexual type of ritual, anal, oral, and vaginal activities are found with female victims.
It's the anal
ranging from
birthday.
7 to 17 years of age. Candlemas. A high religious holiday is held on February 2nd. At these sexual ceremonies, animal, oral, and vaginal rituals are completed with females from age 1 to 17.
Yeah, okay, these are not all sexual ceremonies.
They
I don't
should
know
be,
where
though.
he's getting that from.
February 25th signals Beltane, a blood ceremony.
I
Communions
mean,
are
anything's
held
a
with
sexual
blood filling the
ceremony if you
chalice.
make it that
Yeah,
way,
man.
right?
Animal dismemberment
You get
and
the tub of ranch
sacrifices
dressing
are
and the
common
midgets.
to this ceremony.
I mean, Easter's coming up. I don't know about you, but yeah.
The celebration of
crazy.
St. Iketat is held on March 1st. During the blood ceremony, human blood from devotees of any age and any sex is consumed for strength and as homage to demons. The spring equinox, March 20th, a celebration of orgies including anal, oral, vaginal,
I'm
or
glad all these things
bestiality
are
sex
included.
between devotees of any age.
I'm glad
and
he's
any sex.
specifying how to
Sacrifices
penetrate on these
are common.
holidays, so you
Let's
don't
put
do
it
it wrong.
exactly. How should I handle this tonight?
Yeah.
April 21st
Oh, we're getting
to
close.
the 26th.
The grand
is the time of
climax. We're
preparation
only
for
3
the
days away from the grand climax.
Kidnappings of women,
I've been
children,
counting
and
the
animals
days.
are common.
I've been
Thus,
edging the
victims
whole
are held
time.
until April 26th to May 1st. A demure ceremony for Corpus de Ball. Age group includes infants and females up to 25 years of age.
Wait, so it's just females and infants?
It's kind of weird, but whatever.
What the hell
April
kind of
30th,
party is that?
called May Eve or Walpurgis Night, signals a host of activities and historically is devoted to coven initiations.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So you do the blood in, blood
June
out.
2nd brings about
Oh, yeah, blood
anti-Christian
everywhere.
ceremonies using blessed wafers and blood mixtures for
Blood, blood,
many
blood.
blasphemous purposes. June 21st and 22nd signal the summer solstice, when orgies, anal, oral, and vaginal in nature, take place.
Just
Any
all
age,
year round is just
any sex.
anal, vaginal, oral. My God, we're gonna be busy.
I'm
Demon
actually
revels
planning
are
a big
held on
orgy for
July
June
1st.
21st. It's going to
Sex
be
with
in
demons.
central western
Human
Illinois.
and
I'll
animals,
update
primarily
everybody on
large
event
dogs,
details
take
probably
place
this
with
weekend.
devotees of any age. or
It doesn't
any
matter.
sex.
Had sex.
That's not a joke, also, by the way. The orgy part's a joke, but I am having a midsummer party June
Nice.
21st.
July 20th to the 27th signals the time for additional kidnappings and holdings of victims for the July
You didn't get all your
26th
kidnappings
grand
in yet?
climax
Well, now's the
and
time.
August Eve festivities, which include sacrifices. Satanic revels occur on August 3rd, with its sexual orgies with females from 7 to 17 years of age.
Well, that's highly illegal.
The coveted marriage to Satan takes place on September 7th, at which time human
Does?
sacrifices of groomed devotees occur. The age group is female.
We can't all
1
schedule our
to
marriages on the
17
same
years of
day.
age.
I feel like being a Satanist is just an excuse to take days off work.
For anal.
September 20th
For everything.
is the time of the midnight host.
Like,
A
this
blood
one is just
ceremony
like,
when
what?
dismemberment
Not even
of
2 weeks
females
after the
1
last
to
one?
21 years of age takes place.
It's like, how do you tell your
Hands
boss?
planted as
You
part of
know,
the ceremony.
I'm gonna have to take off for midnight host. Well, you just took off for grand. You just had grand climax off last month.
September 22nd,
Yeah, I know.
or
Then
Michaelmas,
Mass is next week.
entails
Oh, it's
anal,
just- it's the
oral,
fucking
and
Big
vaginal
Lebowski
orgies
joke.
that also include bestiality
You're
with
fucking
any
shameless.
age or sex
Yeah,
devotees.
yep.
I don't like how they skipped September 11th. And isn't it weird how September 11th is Hitler's birthday? I think
October
that's on
29th
purpose.
to the 31st. Samhain,
No, that's
or
not true.
Halloween celebration,
It's
is
yeah,
a
I
high
figured you thought
unholy
that,
day.
but,
Sex with demons is primary, as
what do
is
they call
infant
September 11th
sacrifice.
now? Patriots Day? Is that
Maybe.
right? I think
Maybe.
it is.
That sounds
Patriots
right
Day?
too. Sure, why not?
On November 1st
America.
to the 4th,
Hitler's
Satanic
birthday is
revels
the same as
again
Barney
occur.
Gumbel's.
Anal, oral, and vaginal
That's
sexual
true.
activities take place with females from 7 to 17 years of age.
I'm going to a mushroom foraging workshop on Hitler's birthday
On Hitler's birthday?
this year. It's Friday, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's coming up.
it
Yeah.
is.
And
I don't know, actually,
December 22nd,
is it
or
Friday?
the
I
winter
don't know when. I'm
solstice,
going to some
entails
stupid
orgies
mushroom
with any
thing at a
age
coffee
and
shop.
any sex. And on December 24th,
420, brah.
Demon Revels
Yep.
is a demure ceremony and a signaling
Another
of the
climax.
high grand
Dude, I
climax.
just can't get over
Any
it.
age and any
We
sex
go up,
is
then we go
included
back.
in
Go
these
down, then we
ceremonies.
go back up.
It's a roller coaster of cum.
Satanic cult.
Oh,
Richard Ramirez. Now we're getting to the interesting shit. There we go.
yeah. Hello.
Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, was linked to Satanism. He had a pentagram on his left hand, and he would draw one on the walls of his victims' homes. At his arraignment, he yelled, "Hail Satan!"
Oh, Richard.
Pretty intimidating. It wasn't just a spurg. It was a spurg with problems.
Richard Berkowitz, also known as the
Dude, they
son
didn't
of
even go
Sam,
into it. That
that famous
sucks.
New
No, they
York
didn't.
case.
And that was still pretty. This was in '94, so that was Richard Ramirez was in like the mid '80s, so that
Yeah.
was
Henry
still
Lee
pretty fresh at this
Lucas
time.
of Texas. Both of these men were linked to Satanism and ritualistic
This is like the
blood
most interesting
drinking.
shit they could talk about. Just skimming it.
Yeah, we're just gonna skip through these parts. Except they spend, 20 minutes talking about all the different ways you can
Jesus.
poorly
Stanley
abuse a
Dean
child.
Baker of Massachusetts.
I think
At
they're
the
the
time of
Satanists.
his arrest, he had one of his victim's fingers in his pocket, and he was charged with dismemberment. He stabbed his victim 27 times, and he ate his heart.
Okay.
Well,
He ate
delicious.
his heart.
Ricky
Sure, he had a
Casso of New
fucking
York.
good rationale for
He
it.
required his victim to say, "I love you, Satan," as he stabbed him to death.
Dude, the guy's stabbing me to death. I'm not doing anything he says at that point.
Yeah,
Game
right.
over, bro. You're just
No,
stabbing.
not playing your games. Just stab me.
Carl Drew from Massachusetts. His satanic cult killed a 20-year-old woman, decapitated her, they kicked her head around, and then later he had sex with her body.
My God.
That doesn't sound
It's like
true.
the fucking homicidal
And in the
Pele.
history of the United States, only one case has been successfully prosecuted as a human sacrifice crime. That is the case of Clifford St. Joseph.
Okay, the way we broke the St. Joseph case was some information received through some sharp patrol officer work.
Prentice E.
A couple of our
Sanders.
patrol
Quite
units
the
that
name.
operated
I like
in
it.
what we call our southern district responded to what was a drunken
feel like it should be
party.
like
Will
or
Smith's
appeared
dad
to be
in a movie or
drunken
something.
party.
I wonder what he's up
And,
to these days.
One of the fellows kept saying
Catch
they're going to
Satanists.
sacrifice him, they're going to sacrifice him. Well,
Well, it's
what he
been
was
25
talking about
years
was they
since
had
I
gotten a
taught
second
the world
victim,
about how to catch
and they intended
Satanists.
to
Since
sacrifice
then,
him.
I've
But they
caught
had
7.
had him captured for several days.
They're tied up
Had
in my
drugged him
basement
and,
right now.
And he had been drugged in a lot of.
Look at that bracelet. See it?
Continual
It is
sexual
tight. I
activity.
saw it. Yeah, it's tight.
Is that a tiger's eye?
Male on
It's like the
male
size of
sexual
a
activity
golf
with
ball.
him as he was chained nude in the bedroom and then sometime he'd be chained to the fireplace.
You don't see a lot of
in the
people who
living
can pull
room.
off a brown suit
And
these
every
days.
guest would come, he would be
It's
offered
gotta match your complexion.
to have
Yep.
sex with him.
Whoa.
And even at
Butt.
some
I see a
point,
butt.
they
Yeah.
had
Hank
a
Hill's
German
butt.
Shepherd have sex with him. And it
Diminished
was
gluteus
beyond what
syndrome.
would be seen.
Okay, so
in
they just showed
normal
the butt for a second and
encounter
came
I'm
back.
glad they did that.
of gay male anal sex.
Huh.
So
Was that the
we
crime
followed
scene he's
up on
talking
that,
about?
And
His
we
butt?
were able to find that
Yeah.
young man.
Yeah, that was the
Oh,
crime
he's
scene.
ta- he's
After
okay.
we talked
Wow,
to the
okay.
fellow
That
who was babbling
wasn't very
earlier
telling.
about this sacrifice. So we talked to that young man, and he told a very bizarre story. The story was that this man had been captured. The first victim, John Doe 60, had been captured. He had been drugged, and he had been sacrificed to Satan in honor of.
I think this
Saint
guy
Joseph.
should be the host of this whole thing.
No, this guy's way more personable.
That
I like
Saint
him.
Joseph was the high
Yeah.
priest.
He was probably
And
busy.
that,
He's
he
a
talked
busy
of other
homicide
sacrifices,
investigator.
but we found no evidence of
Doing
any
real work
bodies,
here.
anyone
Yeah.
who had been sacrificed in this area.
Wonder if they had to
previously, at
pay
least
him
the
to be
one
in
that
this
we've been
movie.
able to recognize. So he then told us that he had how they
Probably
had
did it for a
disposed of
bottle
the
of Henny.
bloody mattress, and that they had done the initial ceremony in a circle on the living room floor. And of course, we noticed that when we finally went to that address with a search warrant, we noticed there was all new carpeting, all new mattresses in the bedroom. So, and
Now that's some
what
detective
the
work
officers
right there.
noticed is there were so many things that were so bizarre that this citizen couldn't make up a lie this big, couldn't get that drunk or get that loaded
What?
to make. So
I can get pretty
things
drunk,
started
bro.
to fall into
Don't give me
place.
enough
Everything
time.
started to make sense.
Yep.
And
Just
I
a
can
matter of how
tell
long I
you
can stay conscious.
that our investigation of that case led us into the very highest echelons of our society, professional people, successful business people who were associates, and one of whom we know is a unindicted co-conspirator to this day.
Who is?
Because
Be more
the
specific,
young
black
man
guy.
who had been sexually abused, who was to be the second victim,
We're getting the real meat of this shit.
we got him psychiatric treatment and got him strong enough to be able to testify. And he testified to all the things, the ritual that had gone on before his.
So I was curious, and I just Googled to see if this guy is still alive, and I found out that in 2002 he became the first African American chief of the San Francisco Police Department, and he's now retired, and he's 81 years old.
I'm glad he helped the place turn to shit. Literally.
That place.
Day of reckoning,
Have you been to San Francisco?
where
That
he
place
was
is
to
a
be
fucking
sacrificed
shithole.
himself.
No, I
And
just
it is a
lots of
very
Yeah, I was just there in
precise
September,
procedure.
and it's
Poop,
everything
gays,
you've heard.
go hand in
What he,
hand.
what he
Diseases.
No,
was given to
homeless
drink,
people just fucking
and
everywhere,
he's
and they
kept
will
in a
squat and
sedated
shit in the
mood,
street in front of you, and they will shoot up
condition
heroin on the
for
streets,
several days
just everywhere.
prior to
Disgusting.
the
It's
ritual.
disgusting. Stinks. Yeah.
We
That
were
guy.
able to
Wow, whoa.
No, that's a
prosecute,
fucking
St.
devotee
Joseph
of
by
Satan.
using,
That's
Yeah, it
him.
is. What's up with that lower lip?
Because he was
Got that
clever
inbred
enough
look.
not to
Habsburg
bad
jaw.
collagen.
not to
treatment.
test to give
That
us
guy.
a statement. At least the statement he gave us was innocuous.
Yeah, I want to take another
He was very
picture. Could you just
clever
pull his
in what
tongue
he
out a
said
little?
and, how he said it. But one of the things we were
Not
able
the one
to,
with bunny
to
ears.
do is corroborate the two
What is this, the
young
Bin
men,
Laden assassination?
and with physical evidence. One, for example, we rolled that new rug back and the new carpeting, pulled it back, did a luminol check on the premises, and there was blood.
Ah, good old luminol.
When we did the luminol.
So you got to sit through this thing for an hour
examination of the
before you get to the
premises,
crime scene
we found
photos and
the
stuff.
kind of blood that we expected.
That's where they
Worth
get
it.
you.
Worth
Because as I
every
told you,
minute.
The body
Yep.
was almost
You just got to
devoid of
watch a
blood.
little whatever there was before
We
PowerPoint
knew that wherever this had taken place,
presentation.
there had to be a lot of blood. So in the cracks and crevices of the hardwood floor beneath the carpeting, even there were small blood spatterings on the walls, the lower part of the French doors, despite the fact of a thorough cleanup that had been ordered by St. Joseph after they disposed of the body. They deliberately
Hey, there's a book about
picked
this guy
and
called The
carefully
Zebra
picked,
Murders.
the John Doe 60 and the young
It's all
man
about the
who was
black
to
and
be
white,
the second
bro.
victim. And
Something that
we
happened
were
in the
told
70s,
that
it says.
this is the habit. Nobody's
Who
going to ever
knows?
look for these people. They're the kinds of people, and there are lots of them around nowadays, where people drifters, people don't have any real ties, and they were able to lure both their John Doe 60 and the other intended victim with the lure of drugs. There were a great many
Works
Drugs
every
and
time.
drifters.
and they were very plentiful, and that was one of the lures that they were able to entice young men to these areas for the to look
I
them
feel
over
like
to
this
see
dude
if they
probably
were
coined the phrase, I'm getting
suitable,
too old for this
possible
shit.
suitable,
Yes, I
characters
agree,
to be,
Fish. That's
persons
true.
to
I
be
think he
studied.
probably did.
Coined
What was
the term clown
sentence
world.
for St. Joseph, and how's that all going?
It's going. His appeal has been. St. Joseph's sentence was he was convicted of first-degree murder, and his sentence was life without possibility of parole, and it is going fine. His case has been upheld all the way up the line, so it was a successful prosecution. Good, solid evidence, and it all helped to solve that case with some patrol officers being really sharp and following through on something that they saw that was unusual, and not discounting a person as being just a crazy, drunk, hyped up kid. That they took the time to say, hey, wait a minute, it's too many unusual things going on here. Let's if we don't know, let us.
Man, this
call
guy should make a
somebody
podcast or
who,
something.
will-
Just tell
may
stories
know.
about his
And
time on the
then,
force.
By doing that,
Better
they gave
name
us
names. Better
the
name who
lead
the
that we
fuck's
needed to
who the
break that
high up
case.
individuals in this fucking
Yeah.
scene
On
is.
ritualistic, satanic, cult kinds
He's
of
getting
crime.
too old for this
You'll
shit.
see a lot of
2 days from
unexplained
retirement,
behavior.
dog.
Try not to rationalize it off as being just a bunch of kooks or just a bunch of druggies.
Don't rationalize anything. Just give up.
Investigate,
Give
talk
up
to
your
people,
freedoms.
identify
Just call the police.
people
We'll
who
take
are
care of
there.
everything.
Don't rationalize.
Ask
Don't ever think.
those persons who
Don't
appear
think
to
at
be
all.
really loaded.
Don't think, just
book them as
investigate.
drunk. Book them as under
Yep.
the influence. Call the detectives
Book
and
'em.
ask. Look
Book 'em,
for
Dano.
unusual kinds of weapons, unusual kinds of cuts or wounds.
Like a plus
And,
3
for
broadsword?
example, a single wound. None of the wounds, when you looked at the body of John Doe 60, just as a layperson, none of these wounds would kill him. Even the carving of the pentagram into his chest, he'd bleed, but this wouldn't kill him. And there was the fact that you have a dead body and there's no there's no blood. There's some blood on the body, but there's no blood in and around the scene. Secondary scenes, because they've got to get rid of the body.
chupacabra.
Real
They
stumper.
got to get rid of it somehow. So we have to be very aware of anything unusual. Follow through on it. Call in help. Don't be embarrassed to say, hey, look, I don't quite know what's going on here. Call in the detectives, and they in turn for investigators.
Oh, and watching this
call in
video is what
experts
makes you an
who
expert,
know
by the
how to
way.
deal,
Just
who
so you know.
recognize some of these things. But one
We're
of the
gonna go
things
catch
you
them
will
all
see
after this, I
quite
think.
frequently, though.
I know
they
I am.
do
I've
leave
already
their
got my
mark.
plane
For
ticket.
example, the upside down pentagram on John Doe 60's chest. We've had several other cases where we're dealing with the ritualistic in the Golden Gate Park. This case was never solved, but this young woman was in the middle of a circle, and all around her were pentagrams painted on the trees. With
Summoned the
her blood
Mothman.
Ooh.
painted on rocks.
Carried her off.
They display the body in certain ways. If the body appears to have some ornamentation on it that doesn't fit, for example, maybe some beads or some kind of
Maybe they just had a wild
pin
sense
or
of style.
that doesn't fit the rest of their clothing. There was a
Shawty
case
looking
we can
fly,
call several
so.
years ago where the body was found, and this would be a different ritualistic group. For example, the body was in a circle, the head was decapitated, there were feathers sticking in the exposed part of the neck, and all around the body was
Chicken
corn,
bones.
kernels of corn, and we later learned that this was a part of a sanctifying of a cauldron by killing an individual, by sacrificing an individual. Though, by the way, the head did turn up. We were told by experts that it would turn up.
Wait, all that
But
just to
this came out of
sanctify a
whole different
cauldron?
Part
That's-
of the
You definitely do
society,
something cooler
but it's
with
still a
that
different
magic.
kind of ritual.
Right, if you're
Where
going to go
many
through the
times,
trouble of doing
there's a
some
big
ritual that
controversy
involves
in some
killing
parts of the
somebody,
country now as to
like I'm
whether
not going
or
to do it to
allow
sanctify a cauldron.
I know, that's
religious
what the
use of
chickens
animals,
are
and I
for.
think they
Like I can go to the
St.
park
Louis
down the
did
street with some
in
chalk
that
and sanctify
case,
a cauldron
they
right now.
use animals in their religion.
You just gotta get your
Well,
map.
You'll see things like this. Don't
That's
be
right.
alarmed. Just document it well. Document it very well.
Because
to
without
know
that
who's
map, you
involved,
will get lost.
and recognize it when you see
Sodomized.
it. And probably the grave robbing is what most patrol officers are going to run. They're going to run into grave robbing.
Are they though?
Stealing ornaments
I
from
don't think so.
churches.
I mean,
You start getting
when was the
harassed
last time
with
that
stealing.
happened?
Because they have to have, sometimes they want to get, even though they're satanics, they have to get something that's blessed. So there'll be church robberies. So if you start getting a series of church robberies, or any church robbery where the motive is not totally
But they don't burn
monetary
the church.
gain. It's some
Well,
kind of
one
relics
suspect
are
off the
missing, like
list.
chalices
Yeah.
and different religious ceremony items. Look for that. Other things I can think of now.
He's really
is
drawing
that
at
they,
straws now.
Also deal with certain
Uh,
animal horns and parts and stuff like that. Certain statuaries that you'll find
You guys
on
still need more
premises.
B-roll?
And I the
I wonder if
bodies
this
that
thing has a
appear to be
bloopers reel.
part goat, part human, all in
Oh,
a
man.
man, part man and body, and you'll see lots of candles. They use lots of candles of different colors and stuff like that. But there are a number of experts around who study
Scented
this
candles,
phenomenon,
they
and
like
as I said,
cinnamon bun,
based on
pine
my
forest.
experience.
doTERRA
and studying, particularly with
oils,
the St. Joseph
like we already
case and a couple
mentioned.
other cases, that have had some dabblers around. We capture that material, read it, learn about them. It's just like any
Has to
other part
destroy
of
all
our
the
society.
dabblers.
It's here, and we as law enforcement officers.
Well,
will
I mean,
deal
if
with
you
it.
if you
We
nip
have
it in
to
the
deal
bud,
with
they're
it.
not going to have
And
a
the
chance
best
to
way deal
become
with
the
any problem is to
full-fledged,
understand it.
Exactly.
evil Satanists.
They won't be able to subvert.
In investigating homicides, there are some very obvious
Whoa,
ritualistic
Casual
markings
Friday.
that will appear on a body that is the result of
Is that a cup of coffee on his
satanic
shirt?
Dude,
killings.
that's taking your
But
mom to
some of the
Chili's tonight
markings
is what
are
that
a little
is.
more subtle. And so what we're going to do is give you an illustration of this on our model and also retrace some of the markings that were in the St. Joseph's case.
Actually, that Presidente Margarita at Chili's, that's no joke.
Yeah.
You'll note on our model
Whoa, where'd this girl come from?
that there's
Damn.
oftentimes
She's really
a
dead.
cut that goes from behind the ear all the way down to the throat. You'll also notice that on the carotid, this right here would be cut where the blood would have been drained. And oftentimes there's wax laid on it to cover it up afterwards, after the body
Just go ahead and
has,
climb on up on there,
deceased.
dude. You know you want
It's just
to.
some stripper they found at the fucking.
They will also put
nearest
wax
joint.
over the eyelids after they're deceased.
Oh, he knows it.
And
$5
so
to
those
lay
would be
here.
some of the head markings that would indicate a ritualistic killing.
He found one he already knew. He's
Another
like,
area
I'll
that's
hook you up.
obvious in these kinds
Gotta
of
get
We gotta pay her
ritualistic
$5
stuff.
if we really kill her.
would be the pentagram or the inverted pentagram on the right and the left
The hardest
side
part's
of the
going to
upper
be
chest.
washing all that Sharpie off.
This oftentimes is the signature of the high priest. Another area that you might find satanic ritual carving is in
Like,
the
Near the
stomach area.
vagina.
I understand they couldn't have her be nude because this is an instructional film, but they have to put her in such an ugly bikini? Like, they couldn't find something red and more satanic?
I have a take about
And
that,
as
honestly.
was true in the
The
St.
checkerboard
Joseph's
pattern,
case, the
just like
pentagram
on
or the
in the
inverted
Masonic
pentagram was
temple.
carved right here in his
Oh, yeah.
Signifies
abdomen
passing
area.
through
You'll
dimensions.
note again
That's
the
the
points
Muslim conspiracy
representing again
theorists
the
said to
goat's
me.
head.
Oh.
He was pretty
Another
based,
area
though.
we'll want to note is the foot area. And right here behind the ankle bone, there is oftentimes an incision, just as our markings would indicate. And
Why?
beyond that, on the bottom of the foot, they will sometimes cut the flesh and peel it back. And
God.
so you'll also note that. Another thing that is oftentimes done in ritualistic homicides is a penis is placed
extremely
inside the
sloppy
mouth of the
pentagram
deceased
drawn.
person. Now, as you look
I'm
at
not
the
gonna
body
insert
of
my penis
a
yet.
person such as this, please note each and every one of these markings. You might just see one of the markings. It could be just the carotid, or it might be just the marks behind the ankle, or as obvious as the pentagram. But whatever it is, if you look just a little bit deeper, ask a few more questions, and note to the investigators more information, it could lead to the solution of other crimes that have been just passively sitting on the desk without any clues.
Well,
Maybe
If you
think
just
your
stick around a
community
little
is
bit
immune
and
to
speculate
these satanic
wildly,
crimes.
you too
Well,
can
it's
implicate
not.
people in
The
Satanism.
next victim might show up tomorrow on the beat. It could be in your community, or
So
it
now
could
he's
be in a
back in the
major
bee
city
sweater.
or a small rural area. Could be a member of your family. Could be someone you know. I challenge you to investigate each
Talk
crime
about my
just a
family
little
like
bit
that?
deeper. Let's stop this heinous crime that's going on in the name of the devil.
Heinous? I've
Let's
never heard
stop
someone
it before
pronounce
it takes
it like
another
that.
victim.
you put
Let's
extra
stop the
emphasis on
Richard
it.
Ramirez's and the
more
Clifford St.
heinous.
Joseph's before they
It's like
kill
tedious,
one
but
more innocent
heinous.
person.
And truly, it has been tedious. But no,
This
it's
video sure has.
it's been a good time. Glad we got through it. Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful. Well, do you have any comments on that, on what we just observed?
I think we all learned a lot today.
Yeah, I think it's time we get our nets together. Set our traps.
Yep.
Well, this has been
Yeah.
the first installment of Sorcerer's Cinema. Who knows if I'll do more? I think I will.
Oh, I think you should.
I probably will. You're fucking welcome
See?
to stick around for whatever I'm doing, because Yeah, man. It's
See, I'm
been some
telling
good
you, man, a
banter.
little sneak
What is
peek
this
of.
trash that's coming on? What's this
Oh,
auto
this will be
playing?
a sneak peek of our next one.
Get out of here. Oh, that's you? God, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. All right,
yeah.
cool, cool. Let's do it.
I'm just sort of show you the beginning
Nice.
here. I don't think Fisher King. Have you ever seen this movie? I know I've told you about it before. It's really dramatic. Oh shit. We're not gonna watch the whole thing, but I think we should do this one next time.
All right. I like the trippy visuals going on.
Yep. Anyway, I'm gonna try to find the cool the part where he's at the Satanist temple, because that guy's in it too.
Well, who's there?
Here
Oh,
we go.
nice. There we are. Get the black ones out of there.
So these.
Okay.
I'm so glad
Wow.
it popped up when I was skipping through
Yeah,
here.
no, that's badass.
He's like, wait, what the fuck's going on?
Well, I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna stop this and leave this for next time before I get banned from every platform.
I don't think you got banned from any tonight. I didn't either.
No, I think we're good. And honestly, that was on YouTube. We're showing titties on YouTube, so that's probably allowed. All right.
Not on Facebook though.
I don't fucking know. Who cares? Who cares? We'll find out as we go.
Yeah.
Until next time, everyone.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
Satan speed.